The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are simply that, opinions. All are presumed innocent until proven otherwise in a court of law. Sensitive topics are discussed. Discretion is advised.
He was clutching his arm, and he was choking her. I noticed her eyes rolling to the back of her head.
I was able to see what appeared to be a man on the ground with a young woman that he had subdued somehow.
What did you see?
I seen a grown man choking a young teenage girl.
Verdict Watch continues in the attempted honor killing trial. Deliberations resuming later today. But what could a jury question on legal authority mean for defendants Ihsan and Zahraa Ali? Plus, will Ghislaine Maxwell testify before Congress? And is a pardon reasonable for her, the former girlfriend of Jeffrey Epstein? And a massive manhunt for a killer at Devil's Den comes to an end. A teacher has been arrested for allegedly murdering the married couple who was out on a hike with their kids. Also this hour, defendant Billy Delgado waking up this morning as a convicted felon, and he's already been sentenced. So was it a mistake to turn down that plea deal? We'll talk about it. It's all coming up next for you right here on Opening Statements. Good Thursday morning to you and welcome to Opening Statements. I'm Julie Grant. We got a great show planned for you, so let's get things started as we always do. Grab that cup of coffee right now. It's time for my opening statement. Two things are infinite: the universe and human stupidity. Albert Einstein famously said that. And I'm thinking about his wise words this morning as I'm reflecting on the guilty verdict and the lifetime prison sentence for disgraced Colorado dentist James Craig. He robbed his children of their beloved mother by murdering her, murdering his wife Angela Craig by poisoning her protein shakes. He stepped out on their marriage, but he didn't want to go the divorce route like most decent people do. No, instead he chose to murder her with poison, with cyanide and tetrahydrozoline, which is the substance that's found in eye drops. Now, for being a smart guy, he was really pretty dumb to think he could get away with this. His internet searches alone gave him away. On his dental office computer, this guy searched how to make murder look like a heart attack. And how long does it take to die from arsenic poisoning? What a criminal genius, huh, my friends? Well, now he can try his luck as a jailhouse lawyer, perhaps, because behind bars is where this guy will stay until the day he dies. My heart breaks and goes out to his 6 kids. You know, they are left now without their beautiful mother, and their hearts must be even beyond broken to have then been betrayed in such an awful way by their own father. May God bless those kids and comfort them with strength as they continue moving forward in their healing journey without their mom. And may the lying, cheating, dummy, dentist no more murderer James Craig be fearful of everything that he's given to eat and drink inside the prison. That's my opening statement. Let me know if you like it. Right now, it's time for your daily docket.
Again, ask that in the interim that you allow Ms. Geiser to reside at the group home under the restriction of being remaining in the home while the state looks for a different placement for her if you think that's appropriate.
We've got defendant Morgan Geiser back in court this morning. She's got a motions hearing in her case. Now, this young woman is seeking a conditional release from a mental health facility. She pleaded guilty to attempted first-degree murder after she stabbed a classmate to plea as a fictional character named Slenderman. Court begins at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. In Kansas, we've got sentencing for Carl Kempianen. This guy is set to be sentenced at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. He's a former store manager who was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter in the death of a suspected shoplifter. And in Washington, we've got jury deliberations resuming in the attempted honor killing case for defendants Ihsan and Zahraa Ali. The jury set to return at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And that is, of course, our top story for you this morning. The jury deliberating the fate of those married defendants for more than 13 hours' time, and not without suspense either. This altercation right here is what sits at the center of this case. Ihsan and Zahraa Ali are both facing charges of second-degree attempted murder for the attack on their daughter. And prosecutors say it all erupted after they discovered their daughter Fatima had run away from their home to try to avoid moving to Iraq. That was set to happen that very same day. Now, on Wednesday, the jury deliberated for about 8 hours' time before presenting a question to the court. It was read by the judge in front of the parties. Take a listen.
Legal authority wasn't defined for count 3, instruction 34. What is the definition of legal authority? Signed by the presiding juror. My proposed answer is please refer to and reread the jury instructions. Ms. Stone, any objection to that response?
No objection, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mr. Kading?
No objection, Your Honor.
Mr. O'Leary? I believe that this is the answer that Mr. O'Leary told the jury that they might receive if they had a question.
So what could this legal authority question mean for the case? Let's read the tea leaves a little bit. Let's bring in our outstanding legal analyst guests, attorneys John Phillips and Michael J. Brown. Good morning to you both. All right, John, let me begin with you here, please. What did you think when you heard that question?
You know, that's the core of the case, right? So you got a lot of things on either side that's going to determine, you know, the power of a parent to restrain a child, you know, where the legal authority, where the power to act is. I'm sure Michael can, as a fantastic criminal defense attorney, can get down into the weeds. But, you know, from my understanding, you know, it's the power to do what you want to do. And the defense is, okay, we have religious freedom. You have the ability to discipline your child. That's within our, you know, legal authority. And on the other side, it's she was being choked almost to the point of seizure. You know, the father was being warned, stop, she's passing out. You know, all the one-way ticket stuff, the honor killing, that far surpasses the legal authority. That ventures onto the murder. So, you know, it's the whole crux of the case, as kind of everybody predicted in the beginning, which side is the jury going to fall? And they're like, well, wait, I think we got to understand this concept to understand which way, you know, we need to rule.
Sure. I know. Appreciate those points, John. Thank you. Michael J. Brown, to you next, please. Which side do you think could perhaps be encouraged by this question?
Good morning, Julie. Good morning, John. First of all, I love judges when they deal with jury questions because they never give answers. You know, they're so afraid of getting reversed and they just say, refer back to what I told you. But having said that, John's on point. You know, the issue here is it's not strangers. If it was a stranger relationship, I think it would be different. There's a different standard that the jury needs to apply, and that's because you're dealing with parental controls over a minor. It's a different viewpoint. It's a different look. And parents can do more than the stranger in terms of, as you indicated and John said, disciplining the child, having them follow directions. And ultimately, it's going to hinge on the intent. And quite frankly, and we can get into this more, I don't think the intent is there. I think and the defense did a good job in the sense of focusing on parents are trying to control their child. They may have went overboard, but it certainly doesn't rise to the level of an attempted murder.
I really appreciate those points too. Michael, thank you for that. Let's go back to what the daughter, the victim, Fatima Ali, said. I want to direct your attention to a question on cross asked about her mother, and this goes to mom's potential culpability. Here we go.
You have shared with the police and with others that you felt like your mom wasn't trying to hurt you. Fair?
Yeah.
Okay. Your mom is just there holding you as you regain consciousness, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, I see some nods there. All right, so in terms of mom's culpability or lack of culpability, Michael J. Brown, do you think mom could be what the jury is mainly stuck on here?
I don't know, because they could have came back with a verdict as to one defendant and still been deliberating about the other. But I think the mother is clearly less culpable. And those are magic words that the daughter were elicited from her, in the sense that she doesn't believe the mother had any intent to injure her. And I think it's clear from the video, Julie, that the father was the orchestrator of this entire incident. The mother was secondhand. And, the acting in concert or accessory liability theory, if that's what they're going on, I don't know if it's going to rise to that level. The mother's involvement is very limited. And I think by having the main witness, the complainant, indicate that she doesn't think the mother is responsible or had that intent, is going to go a far distance in this.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, I think that between those two defense attorneys, I think mom's attorney has a better shot at winning this case here, especially because mom isn't acting in the video. I'm not saying she's not culpable. I'm not saying the state wasn't right to charge her too. John Phillips, I was telling my colleagues, I wonder what mom's life is like in that house, because I said it before, I'll say it again. I don't think this was the first time that violence was used by one family member here toward another. I mean, for him to do that in broad daylight with a bunch of people around, it just, I would wonder how that child grew up. Mom, too, I wonder if she's under his thumb a bit and under control from him. I would love your thoughts on that, please, John.
Yeah, you get heavy into the religious and cultural significance here, and there is a difference, right? There is a difference in how kind of American women are versus some from the Middle East, and the rights they have and the religious freedoms they have, and how the man rules the house. The laws over there are very different, and we would say sexist over here, and so there is that. And the defense did a good job in pointing out, look, don't look at this as you're, almost golden ruling the jury. Don't look at this like the PTA mom. Like you gotta judge them by who they are. But, one thing that's always sat uneasy with me is the fact they did charge the mom. If the jury has to come back double guilty, they have to worry about that daughter even more. You're going to essentially take both parents away from her, and the prosecution might could have gone a little bit easier and tried to find a plea deal for mom, and made dad the focus, but here we are.
Mm-hmm. Right, John. Yeah, I know that's what I would have done if I was that prosecutor. I'd try to get her to flip on him, and maybe they did. It's one of those things we would love to know. I'm glad you brought that up, John, because we'll ask if we ever get a chance to find out when this is said and done. Let's look at the verdict form. So we got a hold of the verdict form, and I just have this feeling that it may be mom that they may be more stuck on here. And so we understand they've got 16 pages to go through here. We can just take a glance at it. Michael J. Brown, tell me, in terms of mom and her culpability or lack thereof. So we know she didn't stop it. So looking at this, we know she did not rescue her daughter and jump in and try. We know it was the boyfriend, Isaiah, who was doing that. She was standing by. We know she was kind of hysterical. Fatima testified that after the fact she was trying to comfort her. Do you think from the outset that it was, looking at this as a former prosecutor, that it was proper to charge her in that she drove there with dad, presumably knowing that this was going to be the plan? They were trying to force her to go to Iraq, force her to marry some strange man, some older man that she didn't know. What do you think? Just kind of backing up a bit, do you think they should even have brought the case against Zahraa Ali?
Yeah, great question. And John hit the nail on the head. If I had to guess here, Julie, they tried in the worst way to get mom to cooperate, assist them in the prosecution of her husband. And because of that cultural difference, there's no way she was going to say anything about her husband because of that control and the dominance by the male in their particular culture. So now you're left with a situation where you don't want to let mom run free because she can take the stand and basically assist the husband. So they really were kind of backed in a corner, and you and I have been there on cases in our prosecutorial careers. So I think what they had is no other option but to charge mom, let the chips fall where they may, but not give her the opportunity to help the husband at trial. So I don't think she had that level of responsibility, but I don't think the prosecution had much other choice, really.
Such excellent analysis from you both. As per usual, Michael J. Brown, John Phillips, stand by kindly, please. We're going to hit our first break of the hour. When we come back, we're going to talk about the media storm surrounding Ghislaine Maxwell. It continues growing as the former girlfriend and madam of Jeffrey Epstein is offering to testify before Congress, but with major conditions attached. So, should she get immunity? Plus, an arrest has been made in the murders of a husband and wife at the Devil's Den State Park in Arkansas. How did this new image assist in the search for their killer?
The Court TV podcast will return.
Prominent victims of convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein are in the news this morning. One in particular, and this is because of President Donald Trump, Virginia Giuffre, dying by suicide earlier this year. Back in the news again. Her name was trending yesterday on X. There were some comments the president made. Some are calling surprising in a statement this week, saying that Epstein had stole her away from Mar-a-Lago. She was an employee there. She was working for the president at the spa at the time. And Epstein apparently had a habit of poaching the president's employees. Now, Epstein's former girlfriend and sidekick and madam and convicted felon Ghislaine Maxwell has been in the headlines, as you know, because very soon she may be testifying before Congress. But according to her, only if she's given immunity or pardoned in the alternative. So we know she was just interviewed by the Justice Department. Her attorney saying that she answered every question that was asked of her about some 100 different people. So what's she going to do here? If they won't give her immunity, is she going to talk? Or is she going to just try her luck, hope that somebody in the DOJ has some mercy on her if she offers up some valuable information? There's a lot of unrest still about Jeffrey Epstein's case. So let's talk about his madam, Ghislaine Maxwell. Let's bring back in Michael J. Brown and John Phillips. And start with, will she talk? Will she talk in front of Congress? John, I want to start with you on this one. What do you think, please?
The Fifth Amendment, that's kind of the two words of the day for her. She's already been convicted. Her appeal is ongoing. So there is some level of, you don't want to talk until the process is over, but she wants more broad immunity than that, to be able to sit down and give the dirt for other potential crimes. And what we have here is a big tumultuous mess, particularly in how it's being handled in Washington, D.C., right? Everybody wants this information, but as Trump says, they want the release of all credible evidence. But in this day and age, credible has become subjective, not objective. And so, credible may not be what he has on me, right? To your point about stealing employees, it's what we want about somebody else. And so within that lies actual constitutional rights. And I don't think that where it's postured now, this is going to happen. And she's going to, she is going to come in there and take the Fifth Amendment to every, meaningful question.
Yeah, John, a great analysis. So taking it a step further, when she's saying she wants immunity, Michael J. Brown, my thought was, well, how much more bad stuff did this lady do? Because they got her on quite a bit. As I remember, we covered that trial. There was a ton of stuff that she did. What else is there that she needs immunity from prosecution for? Your thoughts, please, Michael.
Yeah, Julie, number one, she can't talk in front of Congress. She needs to get that immunity. But, listen, and the practical point is she has a 20-year sentence. She's in her 60s. So who cares? Where's she going to go? But there is a pending appeal, and that's a big deal. In terms of what else could be said, we don't know. You expect the Department of Justice did a thorough job, but I can tell you there's probably things that are out there that they don't know about. So she's certainly not going to give that up without getting immunity, not just from Congress, but also from the Department of Justice. Now, in terms of the Department of Justice, that's a whole different ballgame, and I'm sure you're going to get to that. but I don't think she's going to say one word in front of Congress.
Yeah, I appreciate your insight. So let's talk about another component to this now, the idea of pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell. So we mentioned she wants immunity or a pardon before she tells Congress whatever it is she knows about her former lover and co-conspirator and his victims. Now, in an interview with Talk TV, she wasn't exactly empathetic when she was talking about his death or his victims. Let's look back at that.
Epstein died, and they should take their disappointment and upset out on the authorities that allowed that to happen.
All right, now, President Trump didn't say what he's going to do, but he did say he is allowed to pardon Maxwell if he would so choose to go that route. So let's talk about, is a pardon reasonable for her? Or is it reasonable for her to think she could potentially get a pardon in this climate after what we know she did to all those young girls that she groomed? For anybody who's, I mean, she recruited them. She was recruiting them, promising them the world, making it seem like it was normal to give this grown man massages and normal to engage in sexual conduct with him when they were underage, and she was part of it too. So for anybody who needs a refresher, this is no saint here. Michael J. Brown, let me start with you on this one, please. What do you think? Is it reasonable for her to think she deserves a pardon?
No, I think she's off the wall in terms of thinking she's going to get a pardon. But let's if you look at what happens in a normal situation, and we've all been there, you know, she did a proffer, she did a queen for a day, where she's able to talk about whatever she wants, can't be used against her unless she gets new charges and then testifies differently. So she is the one with all the information. Epstein's dead. She really has a tremendous amount of information and can certainly lead to additional prosecutions. So the Justice Department, there's no harm, no foul for either side to do this sit down and this proffer. And what is the end game? I mean, it is a quid pro quo. She certainly can potentially get a reduction on her sentence if she is assisting the feds and effective in terms of additional prosecution. To suggest a pardon and everything gets wiped out and she leaves jail, I don't think that's realistic. But in today's world, nothing surprises me. But I certainly think there could be a benefit to her to do what she's doing and continued meetings with the Department of Justice if it becomes fruitful.
Right. I'm with you, Michael. What does she have to lose at this point? I mean, she is locked up potentially till she dies. I don't know what kind of health this woman's in, but why not try for some mercy? John Phillips, let me ask you the same question about the pardon. What do you think? Is there any chance you think we'll ever see this happen for her?
Julie, you know what happens when you ask me about pardons?
Let me see what you have. You have
Forget
Pardon
free Joe Exotic. We got Pardon Joe Exotic.
That's your client, for anybody who doesn't know.
That's my client.
He's trying
the
for one.
appeal didn't work.
Yeah.
So, you know, I have to disagree a little bit with Michael, because Michael's using contemporary, you know, reason and logic. And we're talking about the Trump administration, which I represented Omarosa when we fought the NDA battle. And everything is negotiable with the Trump administration. Private lawyers, you know, White House lawyers. I think it's within the realm of possibility that they could be discussing a pardon. And Joe actually made the point yesterday on his Instagram, like, hey, what about me? But, you know, I agree that it would be preposterous, but, you know, they at some point they're going to try to get rid of this long ordeal. And it really does wrap around so many former presidents, current presidents, celebrities that, you know, be careful what you wish for. You just might get it.
Yeah, we'll leave it there for now. Excellent points you both made here. And John, one of these days, we're going to have to talk about Tiger King and what's going on with his legal woes. Does he still hate Carol Baskin? I assume.
He does.
I would assume.
Short
I
answer.
know that much. Short answer. Thank you for that. Michael and John, stand by kindly. Please go get another coffee. Friends at home, refill your coffee. We'll hit our break. When we return, we're going to talk about the biggest development in the Devil's Den State Park murders. There's been an arrest. Have you heard? And it is a school teacher, yes, who's accused of committing these murders. And Billy Delgado, a convicted felon, now waking up in jail this morning for shooting his now ex-wife multiple times. We'll analyze his defense, his body language, and what's tipping the scales.
State of Texas versus Billy Delgado. We, the jury, find the defendant, Billy Delgado, guilty of aggravated assault causing serious bodily injury with a deadly weapon to a family member. Felony of the first degree, signed by the presiding juror.
Now, back to the Court TV podcast.
Welcome back to Opening Statements. I'm Julie Grant. This morning, we're shining our spotlight on the case at the state park in Arkansas called Devil's Den, where authorities have arrested a 28-year-old school teacher, Andrew James McGann. This is him. He was apprehended while he was in a barber shop about to get his hair cut. His arrest is in connection to the deaths of this married couple, Clinton and Kristen Brink. They were out hiking in a remote area of the park with their two young daughters when they were murdered. Their daughters were left unharmed. Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders had this to say to reporters after the arrest, quote, "If you commit a violent, senseless act here in our state, our law enforcement will hunt you down and bring you to justice, because that's what the people of Arkansas frankly deserve." Now, this arrest comes a day after police released a brand new image of who they say is the man who they wanted for questioning. This is the image right here, a picture taken from behind by somebody who just happened to be out on a trail. Gosh, it gives me chills. Thank goodness for that. And they were able to apprehend this man, a 28-year-old school teacher, had just moved to Arkansas, was about to start a job, and police say he did this double homicide. Let's bring in two of the best investigators around. I have with me Manuel Gomez and Lieutenant Mike Gould. Both of these gentlemen served in the NYPD. Both of them served in our military. Great to have you both on the program this morning. So let's talk a little bit about what it's like in the hunt for a suspect like this. For those of us who are ignorant and in the public and have never done one of these searches, as you both have done many in your careers, what is it like when you're trying to track down somebody that could potentially be a threat to other people and could potentially harm other people before the capture? Manuel, would you start us off, please?
Well, I have to first say, outstanding to the absolute resolute effort of the law enforcement in Arkansas for taking this monster off the street. Great job, outstanding. This almost was the perfect murder. He had the right location. There was no cameras. If it wasn't that he showed up at that salon and that they identified the clothes he was wearing, he might have gotten away with this. So thank God for the relentlessness of the Arkansas police. Doing a case like this, you have to turn up every stone. This was an investigator's nightmare because, like I said, it was the sheer luck of that one person accidentally taking a picture of that guy that broke the ice on this case. Again, this was an investigator's nightmare, but it turned out to be a blessing because it just shows law enforcement will not quit.
Isn't that the truth? God bless those men and women in law enforcement who captured this guy, and God bless you both for your service in law enforcement. Not an easy job. It is. I say it's the toughest job in the world, and I really mean that. Lieutenant Gould, let me go to you next. Your thoughts on the capture and take us kind of behind the scenes. What's it like when you do a case like this?
Yeah, Julie, and thanks for having me. And of course, I agree with Manuel. This is a great day for law enforcement, another great day for law enforcement. But just in the last few months, we've had these horrendous murders by men in their late 20s. Luigi Mangione, the Midtown shooter just yesterday. And they were intelligent people, obviously some element of mental disorder. So as far as the apprehension, in this day and age, most often you can run, but you can't hide. Even in these rural environments that used to be you'd get lost, there's trail cameras actually now. The Idaho shooter recently who killed the firefighters was picked up on a trail camera. So digital footprints are really difficult to avoid. Could be time consuming. They could disappear in these rural areas for weeks and months, but there hasn't been really, if you think about it, apprehension is always likely eventually. because they just can't stay in the wilderness forever, and they have to show themselves around the residential community, and then that's where people are alerted to him. He's going to need another vehicle, food, and so forth. So, and they don't go that far. Generally speaking, they're located within a reasonable proximity to the crime.
Really helpful points you both are giving us. Lieutenant, thank you for that. Speaking of the guys at the barber shop, he's going to get his hair cut, like, no big deal, I'm just going to go about my life. You're right, he didn't go far at all. This guy, we have some information on him. I want to share it with you both now. Teacher at a small Oklahoma school district until May. Then he resigned to take another job in another state, had not yet started this new job in Arkansas at the Springdale Public School District. Parents of a former teacher described him as, quote, the most standoff teacher she had ever met. Wow. State police arrested him at that barber shop, like I mentioned, in Springdale, Arkansas. He is 28 years old. I think a lot of people wondering, is there any connection with him and this couple? I know our facts are limited, but I would love an educated guess. Manuel, your thoughts on that, please.
I don't think that there was any connection with him and his couple. I do believe that he is a serial killer, and that he was just going out there to do it again. He put duct tape on his license plate because he knew what he was going to do. He randomly picked these people out. There was no connection. I don't believe this was his first murder. It was too well done. It was normal for him. And if you look at him, he has that same stoic look as Brian Kohlberger. I mean, when I look at him, I see a mirror image of him. And like the lieutenant said, we've had Luigi Mangione. We've got the guys walking around with a rifle in Manhattan. I mean, the murders that are happening now by our youth is insane. We have a problem, and we have a national problem, and we need to try to do something to change this with our children.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right, Manuel. Thank you for that. Yeah, 3 daughters this couple leaves behind. 2 of them were with them at the time. Thank God they were left unharmed. Lieutenant Gould, I want to tap into your expertise with the use of canines. You retired as a commander, of the canine unit in Nassau County. And in a search like this, curious how valuable dogs can be in tracking down a suspect like this guy, McGann.
Yeah, so in this case, the digital and witnesses, like Luigi Mangione, was sitting in a McDonald's and he was apprehended. Dogs are invaluable. Dogs in this environment, rural environments especially, outperform any other technology. They outperform helicopters that may or may not be able to fly. They outperform drones, and they outperform humans, frankly, because they're odor detectors. So they can generally go into these rural environments and pick up scent that's incredible. So in my view, they're invaluable, and certainly they were used here, but the facts of the matter was that this person chose to get a haircut, as you said, rather than flee the scene and go into the woods. But dogs are, maybe they're not as effective maybe in Midtown Manhattan as they would be, but in suburban and rural environments, this is their that they're part of nature, and they're taught to hunt human odor. So it's really, they're magnificent. They actually have almost supernatural powers when it comes to odor detection and finding human scent.
I'm a big proponent in using canines in law enforcement, supporting the units that we know a lot of times rely on public donations too, in addition to what department funds are available. Would the reason, Lieutenant, would the reason that they're better in detecting, perhaps tracking a suspect in a rural area, versus like you use Midtown Manhattan as an example? Is it because you have concrete in Midtown where when you have grass, you get foot impressions? Is that why more of a scent could be left?
Well, that's certainly possible. I mean, dogs can be trained to track through the streets of Manhattan. Mm-hmm. We did that very frequently. It can be done, but obviously dogs are part of nature. They have 4 legs. This is their natural environment. New York City is their unnatural environment. So when we can deploy them. They have 4 legs, they're waterproof, they can move 30 miles an hour, 20 to 30 miles an hour. They're very agile. So it's just a hell of a lot easier in a suburban or rural where there's vegetation, woods, they can climb cliffs. They're incredible in that environment. And they do great work in the inner city, but it just takes a lot more training. for them to adapt to the subway. So we can take dogs into the subway system and onto apartment buildings. So it's quite impressive, but it's more difficult. The natural, your dog could probably find somebody in a wooded or vegetated area just out of curiosity.
Right.
They don't have to be
That
highly
makes
trained.
sense.
They would just go and say somebody's in the backyard.
Sure.
And they would detect human odor.
That makes sense. Well, I love when we always have them in the city. Like you say, they make everything safer, you know, arenas, courthouses. That's always awesome when we see the dogs there. We'll keep talking about this case and keep digging in. You both always offer such incredible insight and analysis. Thank you both kindly. Manuel Gomez of Black Ops, Private Investigators, and Lieutenant Mike Gould, also the owner of Houndstown, USA. Thank you both kindly. We'll hit a break. When we come back, we're talking about that case with Billy Delgado. But first, we went ahead to break by showing you the victims in this case in Arkansas. See that shadow there? The shadow of the two little girls. We can't show their faces because they're minors, but those two victims, thank God, who were left unharmed. We're grateful for that, and we wish them all of the comfort in the world as they begin trying to heal without their parents. We'll be right back.
This is the Court TV podcast.
State of Texas versus Billy Delgado. We, the jury, find the defendant, Billy Delgado, guilty of aggravated assault causing serious bodily injury with a deadly weapon to a family member, felony of the first degree, signed by the presiding juror.
It didn't take long for the jury to convict and then sentence Billy Delgado for the aggravated assault of his estranged wife, Erica Torres. So what tipped the scales of justice? Could it be the video showing him shooting at the mother of his daughter some 14 times? Could it be the 5 shots that hit her in the abdomen and her still managing to drive away to get help? Could it be the accident of the crash she got into and she blacked out on the way to the hospital? She spent an entire year hospitalized. Think about that, a year. And she managed to testify beautifully against the shooter.
That I wanted to die at one point. I did ask to stop. I did not want to live anymore at one point. The pain was absolutely horrible. It was excruciating, and as much meds as they would give me, nothing would work. I wanted to die at one point. I thought it was better.
The jury recommended a sentence of 50 years in prison for this guy. He turned down a 40-year plea deal before the trial began. So the question we're wondering this morning, should he have taken that deal? Let's bring back in our legal eagles, Michael J. Brown and John Phillips. All right, Michael, 40 years. Wow, sounds like a long time, but now he got 50. I wonder if, oh, no, we just lost you there, Michael. We'll try to get you back there. John Phillips, I know you can take this one. Let me have you step in here. Your thoughts on whether he should have rejected the 40?
Hindsight is 2020. You know, that the video should have, you know, when you're facing 40 years, you roll the dice, right? You know, you've got an attorney, you got to go through the process. You know, hindsight certainly may have some regret here. I should have taken 40 instead of 50. But at this point, you know, the difference between 40 and 50 certainly is 10 years, but it's kind of academic. But this video just is absolutely appalling. And I suspect, you know, all books will be thrown at him.
Oh, yeah, I like that, John. All books will be thrown at him. Yeah, you know, so this guy, he gets up there on the stand, as you know, John, he testifies. Let's take a listen to some of what he said about his state of mind at the time of the shooting. He's saying he didn't plan this. Here we go.
Mr. Delgado, you ambushed Erica that day, right?
No, sir. I was...
No, it's a yes or no question. You ambushed Erica that day?
No.
Did you let her know that you were going to shoot her when she arrived? Yes or no?
I didn't even know I was going to shoot her when she arrived.
Okay. Yet, you didn't warn her, right? So you surprised her by shooting her 10 times that day?
No, sir.
It's on video, Mr. Delgado.
I did shoot her 10 times that day, but I didn't shoot her planning that I was going to shoot her.
So he said he didn't know that he was going to shoot her when he's standing there. He's standing in wait. Michael J. Brown, what do you think of this answer?
Julie, you don't put a client on the stand unless he's going to gain something, unless you're going to benefit from putting your client on the stand. Now, listen, was it a Hail Mary? Yes, it was. But his answers, his demeanor, the way he appeared, the way he responded to questions, he certainly didn't help himself in any fashion. But again, I think, as you indicated on the earlier question, the proof was overwhelming, but I don't think he came across too well.
Yeah, no, not at all. I kept saying pants on fire the whole time. Like that story he told. I mean, John Phillips, it was one thing that, like, you know, he wanted to talk about the incident itself, which didn't help him. But then he comes up with this story about, oh, there was an uncle and I was upset with the uncle who harmed my child allegedly. And the child wasn't even in the car and the uncle wasn't in the car either. It's like he wanted a pass for the ag assault. What do you think that story did to this? Do you think he made it even worse for himself by offering the jury that crazy story?
Yeah, we talked about the Fifth Amendment earlier. It's a powerful defense, and he probably should have sat right there and used it instead of try to free himself while murkying the incrimination, sitting there with his hair slicked back and that tattoo and kind of angry at the prosecuting attorney and very defensive. It's all no. Like, you don't do any of that when you're standing trial for all intents and purposes the rest of a prison sentence that could take the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm. Right. Great points, John. Michael, let me ask you about the 40-year plea deal. So we know this is a young guy, and maybe 40 years sounded kind of bad, but now he got 50. Your thoughts on him rejecting the 40?
Yeah, I hate saying this, but I'm all for it. I think, and the reason I say this is, listen, my son Chase just tried a significant trial of shooting. There was an offer of 2 to 4 years indeterminate. He really did good lawyering to get there. Client stood to go to jail for the rest of his life. Client rejected it, went to trial, they lost. That's a huge cost-benefit analysis. My position here is 40 years, 50 years, he's in his 30s. Either way, your longevity, your life expectancy in jail is much less than most of us. So you're going to die in jail. You never know, and we all have gone through this. You never know what happens at trial. There could be evidentiary problems, could be witness issues. There could be something that is discovered that nobody knew. Witnesses may not hold up well. So you know what? Is there a real risk, 40 versus 50? In my book, there is not. So it's worth the effort. It's worth the try. You never know if you can get a reduced or down charge. So I mean, we're looking here as a Monday morning quarterback situation and saying, sure, 40 is better than 50. But at that moment, I think it is the right decision from a defense standpoint.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And great job to your son. It's tough being a trial attorney, it really is. And he did a great job when he came on the show. So you got to have him back one of these days, Michael. And John will have to work on getting your client, Joe Exotic, on here some way, somehow, too. It's wonderful having you both every Thursday morning. Thank you for your time and expertise. You got cases to go win. We'll let you go. Friends at home, thank you for tuning in this morning. You can watch the episode again. Go to courttv.com. That's all for this episode of Opening Statements, my friends. I'm your host, Julie Grant, and it's been great being with you. On this show, I am calling out any pants on fire moments in our big trials and true crime stories, and I want you to come along with me. Opening Statements is live every weekday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern on Court TV. Thank you for downloading this episode. Please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your friends. You can watch past shows anytime you like on courttv.com.